So can we get the three shot? Ooh, okay, let me jump in. What's going on, y'all? Dexter Thomas. I'm a correspondent for Vice News, and I'm just gonna start this off like we always do, man. It's weird times. We're all going through this together, and so this is a series we put together called Receiver, where pretty much we're checking in with artists all over the place, and seeing what they're up to, seeing what's going on with the music, and see what's going on with them personally. So for this one, we got Carlos Arevalo, Bardo Martinez from Chicano Batman, fresh off the release of Invisible People. How y'all doing?
Good. Just chilling at home.
as we all are, So I'll start off with you, Bardo, man. So both of y'all are in LA right now, right?
Right.
So how's the response to the record been so far?
It's been amazing. Right off the bat, we had our song "I Know It" got on like 9 playlists on
Mm,
Spotify, so it's pretty amazing. Really cool playlist that we wouldn't. It's all about playlists these days, and it just felt like um, it was just like a blessing, really, to just being on all these playlists that a lot of people listen to. So really
mm.
really aiming on making a really fresh record as fresh as possible. So I feel like it's getting received in that same way.
Yeah. So, and also, I definitely want to say for everybody jumping in who's watching on either the YouTube stream or the Facebook stream, if you have questions, feel free to throw those in. We'll definitely be getting to those. So, if you got a good question, just a burning thing you got to ask the members of Chicano Batman, get it in there. But yeah, man, I mean, y'all just dropped this record, and you're not able to actually be out, actually able to be touring. And you actually did a live, like a live, listening party online. Carlos, what was that like, man?
I was really fun. We got to hear in real time, like the feedback from the fans. They heard the songs for the first time, and we got to see in the chat like the reaction,
Hmm.
and that was very very beautiful thing to see, and it was positive and it was all love.
What is that like though? Watching, I mean, because if you're out there, you're on a stage, you're playing. You can tell when people dig it. You can tell what songs people are really into. You can tell what parts they really like. You know what I mean? But watching actual text, coming down the screen. You know what I mean? I mean, Barbara, especially for you, with the lyrics and whatnot. What's that like watching the feedback coming in real time as you're watching people listen to this record that you put your heart and soul into?
Yeah, it just felt like I'm getting crazy feedback. So turn off my mic real quick. So what am I trying to say? You see people's reaction, right? And it's just
Mm,
like it just feels that they just get it. And we spent so much time trying to craft songs that are straight to the point. And I felt
mm,
like people really felt the reactions were kind of what we imagined, because we were really kind of focusing on creating a product which just smacked. Like, I remember the first time I played some of these songs to my friends, and it was just like they were just blown away, just bumping the tracks in the car and just like
mm.
it was just immediate, and I felt like the reaction from our fans has been that same way, and it's just such a blessing, really. We got hooked up with some amazing producers and engineers that really really made this record pop.
Mm. I mean, but you can't be
That was
you can't even be in the same room at the same time, with each other to be able to celebrate that. I mean, even with each other, that's, I mean, that's got to be wild.
that was the closest proxy for getting that adrenaline rush of performing live in front of an audience was those text reactions. It was like, all right, this is going to be the substitute during COVID-19 era, and yeah, it was it was funny because we're not in the same room like you said, and but it was nice.
Mm,
Like we've been very busy, and obviously due to the circumstances, we've been kind of doing our own thing in our own world with our own families, making sure we're all safe, as a unit here and there. So when we got to see each other for that event, it was like, oh, this was like catching up. And I think the audience kind of saw that vibe of us like kind of clowning on each other here and there, also
mhm.
loving each other here and there. It was fun.
Yo, yeah, I was gonna say actually that was the one thing that hit me about watching the live, about the listening party, was half of it was y'all joking with each other, half of it was the stuff you expect right from a listening party, which is the little behind the scenes stuff, which hopefully we can get into some of that today. But also it was y'all really just bigging each other up the whole time. It's just yo, you killed it on those keys, yo, those drums right there, yo, you really did that. It was really cool to see that because it really feels like y'all your own biggest fans. You know what I mean? Oh, that was really dope.
Yeah, I would say that it's one of our most collaborative records so far. Where
Mm,
Carlos came through with some tracks on his own. Eduardo and Gabo got together and had sessions and came up with some really good tunes as well. So it was like a
mm,
mix and match where it's like I brought some tunes and we all kind of just pushed each other to make the best record we can. I mean, at the end of the day, like we're really this record for us was like, we just got to keep it moving. Like we got to feed our families. Like we got to make this happen. Like there's no, you got to put out the next best thing. Like what I'm trying
mm.
to say is it's got to be better than the record you put out before. So we definitely worked hard and made sure that's what we did.
Yeah, to add to that, we're professional musicians. We make our living off the music we make and the touring we do. So it was like,
Mm,
we need to put out the best possible record. So we have work to go tour. People will buy the record, want to see us. We could go on tour and, you know,
mm,
survive another 3 years off touring. And that's just the reality of the music business. That's how you make your income, and we have families, and it was that was definitely part of the inspiration and just trying to make the best record we could, in addition to obviously our own artistic pursuits and our ideas for where we wanted to go sonically.
mm, mm.
Totally, Dexter. It's like this. Watch, like you know, um, when what am I trying to say right now? I lost it. We out here
We'll come
live.
back to it. We'll come back to it, bro. It's all good. It's all good. But yo, let me jump in with this because speaking of that, man, I mean, we're we're in a time where a lot of people are making different decisions on what they're going to do with their artistry, right? And I mean, I've talked to a lot of artists who said, um, you know, I got a record, I got a project, I'm not going to drop it just because I don't feel like now is the right time. You know what I mean? And so for y'all, was that ever part of the equation? Were you ever thinking about, you know what, maybe we got to put this off for later?
It kind of crossed our minds. I felt
Really?
like Eduardo, the bassist, kind of echoed it. He said it in a conversation. But our label was really confident with it. We're
Mm,
on ATO Records. That's ATO, and they were really confident with it. They never flinched. Like they were like, we're gonna drop it. We're gonna make it happen. And
mm,
so I felt really like emboldened by that as well. Um, for us, we could only tell it to you how we feel it, and for us, this is the best work that we've ever made, and we're really confident in the tracks. Like we could step away from them and just be like, wow, this is just if we could be like a third person and just look at a record like, well, that's just a fire record. And You know what I mean? Because
Tell
it's
us how you
like,
really feel.
let me tell you something, bro. Like it went through the hands of
Yeah.
a few friends of ours, and like, and it wouldn't have been what it is without them. Big ups to
Mm.
Sean Everett on the mixing and Leon Michaels on the producing end. So you know what I mean? When we got back the mixes, it was just like, what is this? It was just, I don't know, man. I hope you haven't. Where have you played this record? Have you? I'm just curious, Dexter. Where did you play this record?
Where did
Like,
I
where did
play
you
this
listen to?
record?
Yeah,
I mean,
like, did you play it on your headphones? Did you listen to it in your car or?
ooh. That's a good question. That is a good question. So, by the way, I got to remind people, or for those who are just jumping in, who are listening to or talking to right now, um, I got half right now of a Chicano Batman on the line with me for receiver. And to answer your question, it's been headphones inside, man. Headphones
Okay.
inside. That's what it's
Yeah.
been
Like
bumping.
Beats or cans or little
Oh,
earbuds?
I got some. Hold on. I
You
got them
got
in the back here, but nah, no beats. But I got some decent. I got some decent things. You know what I mean? I got the
decent. Okay.
Sennheisers. No product
All
I
right.
have a
placement, but
All
I got
right.
PS.
some nice ones.
So
I have
how
a
did you
PSA for
feel it?
everyone.
How did you feel it?
I felt it, man. Yo, let me. I got so much I want to get into with this because you all take your time releasing music, right? You're not just dropping
Yeah.
album after album, year after year, right? You take time with it. I mean, it's 3 years between this one, and the last project, right? Freedom is Free.
Right.
3 years between that one and the one before, and I'm feeling. I mean, I'm definitely feeling the vibe of confidence in the music, but it's not only I can tell there's a lot of thought going to this, but I can tell there's a lot of thought in the lyrics, but also in the musicianship, right? In the sound, because it sounds different. So tell me
Right.
about that. If you could tell me about that, Carlos.
Yeah, so Chicano Batman, we've been a band for over 10 years. And people have gotten to know us through our sound. It's been rooted in kind of like a soulful type of oldies, I guess, kind of vibe on some of the early records.
Yeah.
And it was always funky, and I always felt like it was never complete throwback. Like we weren't ever going, oh, let's mine these Motown chord progressions and just you know play them in 2013. It was never
Hmm.
that. It was mostly like we had a lot of love for the production aspect of those records. They sounded great. They were made on with tape machines and tube compressors and preamps and amazing board analog gear. And that's what we
Mm.
really were drawn to, was that kind of sound. And that was like a classic sound to us. And so anyways, we made music with that intention in mind sonically. And I don't know, after Freedom is Free, I felt like that was like the pinnacle of us really touching on like getting to that soul sound in terms of production. And
Mm.
I don't know, after it I started thinking about it, and that whole genre of like throwback soul kind of thing, it's become a thing like in the past couple years, and it's beautiful. Like there's a lot of great bands doing that sound. And for me, I just wanted to like try something different. I was like, they got it, they're doing it great, like let's go do something else. And I walked into a rehearsal and was not very popular at the end of it, because I was like, hey guys, what do you think about like ditching the organ sound and the R&B soul guitar style that we've been doing for 7 years, and playing synthesizers and drum machines and not using guitar reverb on any of these tracks? And yeah, I got frowned out of the room. but
It's not the way he said
but
it. It's not the way that goes, man. It was a back and forth. You know what I'm saying? Carlos, he chose not to play reverb on his guitar, and yeah, it was like, he was challenging the aesthetics that we had used before, and it was
Mm.
always like a constant back and forth. I was like, Carlos, you jump on the keys, and he was like, no, I don't want to. Like, I'm a guitarist. So it was a constant back and forth, and he ended up playing a lot of keyboards like in the creation of these songs, and also on the
Mm.
recording. Because like we started, like I said, it was just, we're such a band. We're always fighting about arrangements. We're fighting about everything that has to do with the music. And
Mm.
now
Mm.
so and it's a great thing because you just challenge each other. Yo, instead of like, because I love all that music. I love like oldies and soul music from like the 60s, 70s. Like, how are you gonna say no to James Brown? Like, that's the king. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't deny that. But but there's also Shalimar, and there's also like Parliament, and there's also, Warren G and hip hop, and it's just all interrelated to me. And it was just for
hmm
me, Carlos's push to like do like, let's say, let's use like a polyphonic synthesizer on this, instead of an organ. It just created a new sound landscape, and it was like, whoa, this sounds like Madonna. Like, this is amazing. You know what I mean? So it's really like I said, like pushing towards another like sonic frontier in terms of like the history of music or whatever, and really creating something new, and especially new for us. So it was really like a cool back and forth that we ended up really landing on.
It kind of was like a
At the end
way
of
of
the day,
getting.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying it was just basically a way for us to get out of our comfort zone and not be complacent. I feel like maybe without noticing, we kind of got complacent. We're like, all right, I play guitar. Bardo plays this YC30 organ, bass, drums. This is us. And it was kind of like pushing us to try different things. Like, what can we come up with without defaulting to those comfortable sounds we know? And this album is the result. And I don't know, every one of us I felt did an amazing job, and we're so proud of each other because it was one of those things where we turned in the record. At least for me, I'm speaking for myself. Maybe Bardo, you had it. You can chime in and say what your perspective on it was. Where we turned in the record, and I was like, I know I like what we did, but I don't know if it's good. I really didn't
Ooh,
know.
really?
And it wasn't until we got that mix back that I was like, okay, it was good. And you had that time to
Wow.
breathe. It was like 4 months from when we submitted the music, and we got it back and heard it, and it was like, okay, we did good. That's for me. I think Bardo was confident all along.
It's just that I was pretty confident. I don't know, it's just a different process. You know, for me, it was like getting the tracks. Like, there was 2 or 3 or 4 songs that didn't have lyrics until like I recorded them in New York. Like literally
Mm,
after we had recorded everything in the studio, recorded in the studio, then record lyrics on top of it. So I don't know. I just was listening to the music a lot and like really appreciating the music, almost like in terms of it being a beat. Like, a lot of our music that we recorded for this record, if you take off all the lyrics or whatever, you could just hit up any like dope rapper and you can make a hip hop album out of this record. Like, it's just fire.
yo.
They just sound so good. So, you know what I mean? I was always just vibing with it and really just feeling, every minute of it. So my job was really just to like craft songs, and then, like I said, the whole process was about making songs that really got to the point really quickly, and just like
Mm,
straightforward like pop tunes, and I think I accomplished my job as like as the songwriter, and the tying the songs together. And
got you.
I don't know, I was having a blast doing it, and when we submitted the record, I was like, let's go, we did this shit. I did my job.
So
Our,
yo,
our
so
version
what?
of pop.
Oh, let me
I was gonna.
jump in your version of pop.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
let's
Go
get
ahead.
into that. So, for those of you just tuning in right now, you're on with Receiver, Chicano Batman. We got Carlos on, we got Bardo on, and speaking of a different sound, which y'all talked about that you're doing with this record, I understand you've got a video you'd like to show us, like to premiere for us. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we got this song Blank Slate. Um, it was pretty much the first song that we put together. Um, it was
Really?
like I'm going way back 2018, putting together demos and whatnot for this record, and it was right after we had worked with Miguel. We did something with Me Too, the like the
Mhm.
YouTube provider or whatever, and they put us together with Miguel, and he sang one of our song Black Lipstick, and
Yeah.
we were the backing band for his song Skywalker. So right after that, it was just such an amazing experience, just like hanging out with them and rocking with them. And we even had some chatting about like maybe making some music together. So I was in my studio just like playing with stuff, and I put together some keyboards, just trying to get like a real modern sound, and then I passed it along to Carlos, and yeah, we just started moving from there with that song. um it was our blank slate. It was just like I said, we were, and talking about like our little back and forth as band members, right? It was just like, let's erase the past. It's a blank slate. Let's start all over again. You know, and it relates to a lot of things. Like, for me, it was also part of like my, you know, just talking about like my personal relationships and stuff with my wife and stuff,
Mm.
band relationship, and really starting anew, starting fresh. So it really applied to a lot of different things. Um, so yeah, we tossed the video together. We just rocked inside Barefoot Studios where we actually recorded the song. We had George Mays direct it, and that's what we got. Check it out.
Yeah, let's watch it. So, Chicano Batman, Blank Slate.
Hello, I just want you in my life. And now I'm so excited to feel everything you got inside of your soul now. Everything you got inside of your soul now. I just want to love you. I need you to love me. I just want to love you. We can walk so now. The past is done with. The present is now. What will we do with the time that we have? How will we bring back the love that we have? All I really wanna do is love you today now. All I really wanna do is love you today now. I just want to love you. I need you to love me. I just want to love you. We can walk so now. All I really wanna do is love you today now. All I really wanna do is love you today now. I just want to love you. I need you to love me. I just want to love you. We can walk so now. I just want to love you. I need you to love me. I just want to love you. We can walk so now. I need you to love me.
There we go. Blank Slate once again by Chicano Batman. So we're back in with them. For those of y'all who are just jumping in, we are still taking Q&A questions. So if you got anything you want to ask the group, feel free, whether you're watching on Facebook or whether you're watching on YouTube. We'll get it to them. So yeah, we just watched it. That's the first video since the album, right? Tell me about it.
It is the first video since the album, right? Really, there's not much to say. We just recorded in the studio, and it was just a live take, right? Originally, we're supposed to put it out as a live take, but obviously, since the COVID thing happened in March, it kind of disrupted a lot of plans for us in terms of like creating a music video and doing all kinds of things, and so we just kind of like improvised. Honestly, we just improvised that video. We had like I said, George put it together,
Mhm.
and it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Carlos, I see you got I see you got the axe there. Want to tell me a little bit about what's going on in the video?
Yeah. So my guitar playing. You talking about in terms of my guitar in the video,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
okay,
You
yeah.
break down the song for me a little bit.
Yeah. Sorry, when I hear guitar, my brain starts going that way. Yeah. So Bardo, Bardo brought in the tune, and like if you hear the song, it has like this underlying like drum machine beat that to me sounded like Trans Europe Express by Kraftwerk, like the galloping like
Ooh,
tum, 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 tum. That's
yeah.
happening underneath. So like Bardo was saying, it was like on some modern approach, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna try to play like kind of like funky and electronic or robotic or something. So there's
Hmm.
little like funk lines happening in between the verses, like kind of a call and response. But the chorus, when we were in the studio, I had like a different chorus guitar part written out. I think I was just doing something more basic, but just the song as it was developing in the studio with our producer Leon and Eduardo, our bassist, started slapping the bass on the chorus. We were just trying stuff that we never had tried before, and in composing the song, and maybe we wouldn't have been open to even doing it if it hadn't just been at the right moment, which was in the studio. We're about to track, and I just started playing like some kind of a funk guitar chord uh, rhythm progression, kind of in line with something like Nile Rodgers would play, or even Prince's rhythm playing on a song like Controversy. Just
Hmm.
those 70s and 80s like clean guitar that are like straight into the board. And yeah, I was just doing something like this where you keep the right hand going and you're just kind of getting syncopated and percussive with the left hand. I'll show you. And it just drives us. It's real simple and it's just rhythmic and it just drives the song forward. Like it just keeps it chugging along. And it was just
Hmm.
an approach I had never tried before on an album of ours, so that was exciting.
So Bardo, what's your contribution to it?
Like I said, I just pretty much brought like the chords, like basically the structure of it.
Hmm.
I had kind of written the tune to it, and so yeah, it was pretty much. I guess the structure was already done, and it was just a matter of like kind of refining it. So in the studio with our producer, we like chopped it up some more, and just try to make it, get rid of like a verse, and get to the choruses quick and that type of thing. And so for
Hmm.
me, it was like my contribution was just always just trying to make it as how could I put it, straight to the point as possible. Like I've been saying, like getting rid
Yeah.
of any fluff, and Leon was like really really on board with that, and also pushing for that, like that approach. I wanted to tell you,
Yeah.
Dexter, like earlier I
Oh,
mentioned something about like pop music, right? Or Carlos was like, "Oh, this is our pop music." And I just
yeah.
wanted to throw some references, like just like, "Yo, this we've been listening to stuff like this, yo." Where am I going?
Hold on. Move that.
Wrong
There we
way.
go. No, wrong way. Ooh,
This
okay. All
wrong
right.
way.
All
There we
right.
go.
Shalom.
DeBarge.
I don't know, man. It's we love all kinds of music, We have like each of us
Bugs, man.
has like a
Yeah.
deep love for like,
Yeah.
for the crates, you know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
for us, every time whether it's like composing or whether it's going into the studio, something comes up, whether it's any one of us, from the drummer, from the the bassist, that kind of like resembles or has like a like that vibe,
Yeah.
that we find in a lot of these deep cuts. So what when I say pop, it's just like it pops to us, But
Right.
I also wanted to say that it's also like, we also wanted to make sure that the listener, when the record is played, that it's, as we've been hearing a little bit more about our when we do interviews and stuff, people are like, oh, it's kind of, your record is pretty accessible. Like this is like the most accessible I've heard you guys, and that's definitely
Accessible.
also
Interesting.
what we
That's an
were
interesting word.
aiming for. Yeah.
How do you feel when? How do you? I mean, y'all been at it for 10 years, and people are now saying accessible. How does that make you feel, man?
That makes me feel great, bro. Because honestly,
Yeah.
like that was like the yeah, it was the root of a lot of what we were trying to do. Just we all want to expand our audience. We want to play for bigger stages, and I play this music for the homies, and they're like, man, this is like stadium music. This is like
Mm,
festival music. And I'm really excited to hit the stage once all this clears up, because it's gonna be wild.
Yeah.
I feel
So
like
I want
I
to.
feel like
Oh,
even
go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say just add to that. I feel like when people say accessible, like it's such a broad term. I can't tell if they're talking about in terms of like the sonic quality of the production of the record, or the straight up fact that there's hooks and the songs are concise. A lot of our old records, there's 5 minute to 8 minute songs. This one was like we're trying to get lean and to the point and improve our songwriting. And you listen to a lot of your favorite songs and you don't notice, but they're getting places quick. It's moving quick. And I just
Yeah.
wanted to clarify that the production on this is just, to me, like our highest quality production. This is like Chicano Batman and Hi-Fi. And I just want to give
Mm.
a PSA. If you haven't heard this record with some bass or some dope headphones, you're missing out, because that's
Thank you.
half the fun of this. There's people
Yes.
that listen to the album
That's why I asked you,
on laptop
Dexter.
speaker, on
Yeah.
laptop speakers, on iPhone speakers. You're missing our whole rhythm section. That's where the
Yep.
freaking funk is at. Like, you need to bump this and play it loud, and you will hear stuff that you never heard before.
Go take
Come
a
on, man.
drive. Go. You got to take a drive. There's no one on the freeway right now. Just take a quick little drive. You'll be back in half an hour. 40 minutes. This record's 40 minutes. Just bump it. You got to bump it.
It's funny you mentioned that too, because I feel like a lot of, if I listen to the old stuff, right? That was definitely the cruising music, right? I feel like this one, that's like slow ride music. This one, I feel like you doing 70, 80, maybe a little bit more than that on the freeway. You know what I mean? This is faster music. It's faster, just like you said. It's tighter. It's the songs are shorter, but also it's like there's this, you're trying to get somewhere. I feel like this record's trying to get somewhere. And I would even
Thank
throw
you.
this at you. Tell me about the title, man. We haven't talked about that yet. Invisible People. Tell me about that.
Well, Invisible People was a concept, I guess, that Carlos threw at me. He was like, "What if we write a song? We had this track that we've had for years, right?" And he's like, "What if we talk about the fact that when we're driving around the country, on tour, just the way people look at you when you're walking into a liquor store in the South, like they look at you like, they give you this vibe like you don't belong there or whatever, and or the fact that we've been doing our thing as a band for 10 years, and sometimes we feel maybe some press outlets won't necessarily mess with us because we're have a weird ass band name like Chicano Batman, or
Mhm.
we're for Latinos. Who knows? Like, we don't know what people are perceiving of us, or you know it just, you kind of pick that up throughout the years as you're playing, as you're navigating the music industry, right? So Invisible People is kind of like, at least you could help me out with this, Carlos. But yeah, it's something that we've always talked about, and I'm just saying, like, this is what he brought up to me, and I took what he said and kind of synthesized it in my own way. You want to maybe break that down real quick, Carlos?
Yeah. So we felt like when we were gonna name the album, it's always been tradition, kind of maybe subconsciously. We usually name a song on the record. I mean, we usually name the album title after a song on the record, and we did it again with this one. And we chose Invisible People because we felt like it had the most ability to be subjective, whereas Freedom is Free is like a straight up political statement right off the bat. You see that record, you're like, oh, okay, this is a flip on that whole conservative notion. Freedom is not free. And
Right.
this one was like, we felt like it was more open-ended, and yeah, it can go into you can go into social, economic, racial interpretations of it, or also for me it was kind of more playful than that. Like Bardo said, like, I'm always going on Twitter and social media a little too much maybe, and I would see stuff like our fans saying, man, Chicano Batman is so underrated, Chicano Batman is slept on, nobody knows about Chicano, more people need to find out. And there's this perception that because we're not getting those same looks as bands that are kind of shoulder to shoulder with us, like we're literally selling out some of the same venues as these bands that some people perceive as, oh, they're bigger than Chicano Batman because I see them more on this media outlet or whatever. They're getting better looks. And I just thought it was like, I thought it was just funny, like, oh, like we're invisible people, like it's just, it was just a way to just be tongue in cheek about that. Also kind of playful, and also just we were very proud of this record, and we felt like we did a great job on it, and it was kind of just like a play on words. Like, all right, are you going to ignore us now? Still, you know?
Yeah. So let me. Speaking of which, and by the way, we're rocking with Chicano Batman right now. So if people are in the YouTube stream, the Facebook stream, ask some questions. I see we already got some. So I want to jump in with one. This is Eduardo Valencia, and he says, "Peace, homies. Salutes from San Bernardino. Congrats on success. Ahora que son famositos, what kind of pressure do you experience from carrying the term Chicano around the country and the world?"
Wow,
So it
that's a
sounds like
great
that kind of
question.
goes into what you're talking about already. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, for us, for me, like, you know, when I brought that brought that up as a band name, um, to the four of us, it was just like it had many different meanings. It was just like it was just something that sounded cool, honestly. I was going to UCLA at the time, and yeah, I was a part of Mecha, and I was there at the student center, and surrounded by a lot of Chicanos, and it was just like what was on my mind, and I was like, well, what if we had a Chicano Batman that kind of stood up for the people, So almost kind of like literal, like very literal, like, yo,
Yeah.
we need a Chicano Batman to like save us, But
Mm.
at the same time, it was like, I don't know, what is Chicano, and I think it's for me, it's always been about like complicating I think identity is a very complex thing, right? And it was just a matter of like really, really changing it up, like, you know, um, any particular type of identity has so much depth to it, and it's just and like I'm Colombian and I'm Mexican, I'm both, and I think I'm kind of going this and I'm talking about very different things, but in terms of it, like, to answer the question of the brother who submitted the question, it's like, how do we feel, you know like, we do feel it. Yeah, we do feel the weight of it, because a lot of Chicanos are looking up at us, you know, and we feel you, but we're also like, you know, we are who we are as artists. We're gonna do what we do and what we feel like doing within the music, and I feel at the end of the day, if I am who I am 100%, and I dedicate myself to the music 100%, and really make myself be respected within the music industry 100% as I am, then that's the best thing that I could do for my community, you know,
Mm.
is like, being myself as I got all kinds of interests. Some people may see me as like, yo, this cat is a weirdo, but that's cool because like, I don't mind, you know, because like we're changing it up. We're changing up the spectrum of how people perceive, you know, Latinos, because it's a complex thing, man. Latinos come from Mexico, Latinos come from Cuba, Latinos come from we're all over the map, and we have a very complex DNA as well. I've done my DNA test. You know, I'm 30% like European. I'm like 45% native to the Americas. I'm like
Mm.
20% African from all the from all the nations in Africa. My mom's from the Caribbean, and so it's like, what do you do with that? There's a lot to that. And then that's in you, bro. I can't help who I am. You know, and so it's complex, man. And to answer your question, everything's complex. And going back to Invisible People, you know, um, I'm trying to say race is just a concept, yo. Race is just something that somebody constructed. You could go back to like scientific racism, like in the in
Yeah, man.
early 1900s, where cats were like measuring each other's skull, like measuring
Yep.
people's
Phrenology,
skulls from all over the world, you know. So
man. Yeah.
Chicano Batman is deep, you know. We go deep with it, like straight up.
I mean,
Yo, and I'm just saying, man. Yeah,
oh yeah,
go
no, go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, no. I mean, No, I mean, you know, what else? I could keep on going, I guess, but
Well,
it's,
let
you know, it's a
Carlos.
passionate thing for me. You know what I'm saying? It's somebody saying, how do you feel? You know, representing a whole
Mm,
community. You know what I'm saying? I live in a community like that. I feel the pressure of people around me. I live in a country. I live in a world. You know, there's layers
mm,
to it. There's levels to it, and it's something that affects me all the time. Like I'm very sensitive to these things, as we all are. You know, we're all staying inside right now because of the COVID thing. You know, it's like society and politics is part of the everyday. You know, and I guess that's always going to be a part of our music because
mm.
like we're just here trying to wear our emotions on our sleeve. You know what I'm saying? Like it just is what it is. You know, and as an artist, I think, you know, I feel like the artist, the responsibility of an artist is really to like let the emotions out, right? We go on stage, we're there, we're here to like release the emotions. We're here to, you know, bring out the emotions in everybody around us, within the room, within the, with, you know, on the stage. So this record got all the soul, man, that we got to offer. And that's all of us, you know, everybody in the band put their 200% in making this record. So you best believe, you know, we're trying to represent, you know, us.
Yeah, man. Yo, I mean, let me throw this at Carlos too, because I've, just looking through comments, and we were talking about this before we even got on live, but Chicano Batman has some of the most enthusiastic fans that I've seen. The people are extra nice. It's really dope. But let me throw this at you, man, Carlos. So there was a comment that I saw. Let me read this. It says, yes, I want to see Latinos everywhere, in every outfit, in every color, in every place, because we fit everywhere, baby. Love you, Chicano Batman.
Wow.
Carlos, give me something, man. Respond to that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's about, and that's what we hope our fans. We hope our fans have that kind of open mind, and it's a beautiful thing that people recognize that. I will, I'll be real with you. We got a little bit of pushback about this record.
You have, yeah.
Some
I was
fans,
gonna ask you about
yeah,
that. Tell me.
we got some fans that think being a Latino and making music means you have to make a certain style of music, and that's cool. Like there's these musicians that will serve that function. There's our back catalog that you can always go back to and hear. But I think at the end of the day, we're artists, we're musicians, and we want to grow and progress our art, and we don't believe in boundaries, And who cares if people believe Latinos have to make music like this style or you're not being down, It's not about that. It's just like I'm not any less Latino because I chose to make an album that sounds like Invisible People than because I played the way I played on Cycles of Existential Rhyme. No, it's all
Mhm.
interconnected. It's growth of musicianship, and we hope to challenge listeners and go on the trip with us. Open your mind and see, some new views with us, and it might make you a more happier person instead of talking shit on us.
Well, yo, I mean, how does that feel for you though? Because, and once again, for people jumping in, feel free to jump, throw questions. And I see, there's already things being thrown in the YouTube and the Facebook. Once again, we're all with Chicano Batman. But I mean, aside from being called, y'all named yourself Chicano Batman. I think there's
Right.
a lot of people, and I remember, having these conversations with people, just say, yo, you got to listen to this. And me even being, similar place, growing up in the IE, what I mean, growing up in Summer, this sounds like, a lot of the old stuff sounds like stuff that you would hear in the neighborhood. What I mean, that you would hear people pull up, somebody's dad might pull up, in the Chevy bumping it or whatever. So that there was that kind of nostalgic feeling to it. And then in this record, and it's been, and there's also the Brazilian music, what I mean? And it feels like I can tell that's still there, but it's like in the background. And it's interesting to watch. It's interesting to watch some of that pushback that you were saying, because I wonder even, who is it coming from? Is it coming from people who are in the community, who are just, nah, man, y'all got to represent us, and this is how you should represent us? Or is it also from people who are like, I like y'all in this box, and I'd much rather you stay in that box. And I wonder how that feels for y'all, because y'all are
I
closer
mean,
to it, you know.
I
Can I
think,
say a little
look,
something, Carlos? Oh,
yeah,
Carlos,
go
go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead, man. You want to get into it. I can see that.
ahead.
I can feel it.
I was gonna say, look, be open-minded. I mean, I'm half Chicano. I'm half my my Mexican side of my family goes back 3 generations in California, in Los Angeles. Like my great grandma migrated here, and so half Chicano, half Salvadoran, and I mean, I identify as that, but because I listen to Can and I want to throw some Can vibes on this record, that makes me less, Latino in people's minds. How about we flip it and say like, oh, I didn't realize like we don't have to stick to soldies for you to be respected. Like you can branch out. And I just think people just need to have an open mind. We're not elected politicians, we're musicians, and we're gonna grow and go where our muse takes us, and like I said,
Mm.
at the end of the day, there's those old records. If you want to go back and feel that vibe, they're there forever. You can go back and hear them, and I don't know where we're gonna go after this record. Who knows? Maybe it'll come full circle, but it's just where we're at right now. We're exploring and we're having fun with it.
Bro, let me say something real quick. So you talk
Uh-oh.
about boxes, right?
Yeah.
Dexter, you said boxes.
Yeah. Let's get into it.
Chicano Batman, that name itself is trying to rip the box up, bro. Chicano Batman, what is that? Like that's like you're combining this culture, right? And you're mixing it with like, this identity, cultural identity of Mexican Americans, right? Or that a lot of people understand it that way. Now you have Batman and you bring the two together. That's like American pop culture meets this identity. How does that transfer, right? How does that work? It's like it was always kind of like I'm trying to say that just us naming ourselves that, for me, it was always like a cultural project, right? It's like putting out an idea to the world. Now, how are you guys going to take it? You're putting out a
Ooh.
racial identity, right? That out into the world. Everybody's going to interpret that differently, right? And I don't know. There's so much to be said about that, but at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that was always the point of Chicano Batman, was to like rip up the boxes. Like we don't need boxes. Like you go out into you take a step outside. The only thing that's boxing you in is your own mind. And for me, I just want to give it up to all the young kids out there. The new generation of musicians and everybody. Whether doesn't matter what your identity is. I think there's a lot of people really just mixing it up. Everybody's like, whether you're black, Latino, white, whatever stereotypical, category you put yourselves in. I feel like a lot of kids are getting rid of the categories, and I feel like that's what we got to do. We got to get rid of the categories, man. Like, because at the end of the day, race itself is just a concept. It's just a construct that people made up, and so
I mean, that's in your lyrics, right? That's in your lyrics. That's in Invisible
it's
People
in
right
the
there.
lyrics. It's the message, and I feel like the music is also that. There you go. That's the fact that people are taking it like almost like an offense, like, oh, you guys are not doing what you did in the past, or whoop de whoop de whoop. And it's funny because it's not the first time that's happened. Like there's always kind of like these like music debate. Sorry, there's always these debates around music, like in Brazil, for example, like when people started using electric guitars within Brazilian music, like pure musical purists were like, why are you using electric guitars? You can't do that. You can't play bossa nova with electric guitars.
Yeah.
That's happened throughout history. You could you could bring up any genre. Can we talk about disco real quick? Can we talk about disco? Yo,
I mean,
check
we
this
hope
out. Have you heard of the disco sucks movement?
I mean, we could. That's an hour-long podcast, bro. That we get
I'm just
into.
trying to say.
Hold
I'm
on.
just trying to say that it's. This is my last thing I'm gonna say, and this is.
Do it.
I'm just trying to say that music always kind of like, even though it's like an apolitical thing or whatever that you see as, it's not like it. It's super politicized in all kinds of different ways, to the point where, like, in the United States around the like late 70s, people actually burned all the disco records because like they were seen as offensive, and like, you know or people were being super, how could I put it, like all these racist, people were being racist
Yeah.
and like just burning records, like what, like burning books. And so Chicano Batman is not about burning books or burning music or none of that. We're trying to liberate, and we're trying to like change it up and really just trying to be a part of the universe in a very fluid manner and form and all that.
So once again, we're here with Chicano Batman. We got a little bit of time left, some more time for some questions. There's one I want to throw in from the audience here. This is from Rebecca, who wants to know, let me see, I'm going to read this over here. Watching the music video Color My Life, I saw it was a celebration of LA, how it been growing up living in LA, how has growing up and living in LA influenced your music, and is the gentrification of LA informing your music? I'm going to throw that one to Carlos.
Okay, well, I live in LA. I've lived in LA for the past 7 years. Okay, my family, my roots are from Los Angeles, but I grew up in the Inland Empire. Yeah, I mean, so I wanted to throw this at you, Dexter. Me and you went to college together. We both went to UC Riverside and graduated the same year, dog.
What?
I've been watching Vice News forever, and I've always taken a liking to Dexter. I don't know why. It was just like, I was like, this guy's dope. Like, I like his style. I like his swag. And then talking to your producer, he was like, oh, he went to UCR, like graduated 2006. I was like, so did I.
What?
And then I remembered you walking around campus with your huge picked out afro, right? hanging out with the Asian crew.
Yo, what?
Did you hang out with the taiko musicians, the Japanese drummers and all that stuff?
I probably knew a couple, but not really. That's wild. What? Okay. How do we know?
Yeah. I used to look different. I used to have I used to look like I was at the drive-in. I had like curly afro mop hair. Like
what? There's probably a picture with us in the same place at the same time.
I know we've been to like the same party. I remember you at like a party.
We've definitely been at the same parties. We have. Hold on. I'm sorry. Let's get back to this. We're gonna talk about this later. This is out of control.
We'll talk about it later. Okay. Yeah. So, how does gentrification inform the music? I mean, I think in this record, in that music video, we were just celebrating the places we like to go in Los Angeles. Bardo is a quote unquote beach bum. He loves to go swimming in the water. There's been times where we're driving down the PCH, like coming from Santa Barbara or 101, and Bardo's like, hey, we got to pull over. I want to go jump in the ocean. We're like late to sound check for a show. So that's his personality. I'm chilling in Northeast LA, the Lincoln Heights, El Sereno area. So that's where I was shooting, like just these dope murals and these walls of art that I was like attracted to. And Eduardo is from same area, East LA, El Sereno, and we're just showcasing the communities and the neighborhoods we lived in. It was really that simple. And the gentrification of this city is. I studied urban planning. I have a master's degree in that. And unfortunately, that was something that we did not study about 10 years ago when I was getting my master's. And you see it. Neighborhoods are changing very quickly. People are being economically displaced. And it's really sad. And it just comes down to, it's just the function of unfettered capitalism, doing its work. And it's unfortunate because there's going to be people that are disadvantaged due to it. And, it makes me sad. I'm sad that people are losing their livelihood because they can charge rent 4 times the amount of what it was worth before white people were living in that area, And I don't have the answers to that, I sympathize with people that are being affected with it. We're all being affected with it. The rents are freaking expensive in this city, And I don't have the answers. I just know that it sucks, and I hope something gets done. And I don't know if anything's going to get done soon, considering the administration we live under right now. And if that monster gets another 4 years, we're fucked.
Well, I mean, now
I also want to say though.
Oh, go.
I just wanted to say that it's also, the people that are moving in, from, like, say they're moving from New York or from the Midwest or whatever.
Mm,
It's also, I think you can't just blame people though. You can't be like, oh, get the fuck out, you white people, blah blah blah, because it's like, at the same time, like they're just part of the system, like we're part of, like everybody's part of the system, and that's just not the answer. The answer is not to, like, take out the spear and then just go, like, mob down the street and, like, how could I put it, like, just and hang somebody. That's never the answer, like that mob mentality that, like, we got to go get these people that are they're the problem. Blaming is not the problem. That's not going to solve anything either. I'm
mm.
not trying to say I have the answers, but I also see that energy coming from, sometimes, communities of color, and it's not going to solve it either.
Yeah, I want to say I
Oh,
wasn't blaming white folks for driving the
mm,
rents up. I just said that's a product of how capitalism system at work. It is what it is, and it sucks because there's going to be haves and have-nots in that structure. And right now, people of color are very disadvantaged because of how that system's been in place for hundreds of years.
Totally,
mm.
totally. And I think part of it is just, like, literally those categories that that have been in existence for hundreds of years. It all goes in circles, and it's all rooted in history. So,
Mm.
yeah, it's just a
There's
crazy
there's
it's
one,
a crazy discussion.
mm. There's one thing I definitely want to make sure that we get to, which I think is kind of related, especially considering what y'all are talking about in the record. Once again, we're talking with Chicano Batman right now. Um, Tell me about. I've heard you say that making the album is therapeutic, right? Especially this one. Can you talk to me a little bit about that, if you could, Carlos?
Yeah, I mean, the record, like we talked about, we thought about pushing the record back to fall. Um,
Mm,
and we changed our mind. It was like it's been done for a year. It's time to get it out. I don't know how much things are going to change between now and the fall, but we did know that we were going to stay true to our May 1st release date, and we knew that it would be some music that might be helping people out in this time. Music is always
mm,
here for us through the good times and the bad, and it's a beautiful accompaniment to life. And we felt like this is an album rooted in positivity and celebration, and we felt like maybe this could help be some therapeutic. This might provide some therapeutic elements to people going through hard times right now, and I know it's been effective because people have written us and say, "Man, your music got me through this hard time. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna make rent next month, but I do know that
mm.
this album is making me like feel a little more at ease as I try to figure and navigate through this, disaster."
Was there any part of this record? Was there any part of making this record that was therapeutic for you or for the band?
Definitely. I mean, this record was kind of our group therapy record. Just to get real with it, we've been a band for 10 years. This is like a family you didn't ask for, like in a positive way, not in a negative way, but we're like a family. And, families fight, you feud, you love each other, you have celebrations together. And we go through all those roller coasters of emotions together, especially when you're on the road and everything. Everyone has very different personalities in the group. But
Mm,
it was kind of our way to like really just put it all on the table and make, like Bardo said, like the most democratic record we've ever made. And sometimes that means checking your ego, or being more open-minded to what someone might bring in. Maybe Bardo's bringing in a guitar part that maybe I wouldn't normally would want for this song, or or whatever, bass, drums. You could flip it however you want, but the point was to let everybody shine and let their personality shine through. And I felt like that was our greatest strength as a group. We felt it was our greatest strength as a group, is letting our personality shine through. And I feel like you hear it in the music. And I feel like the music is, like we've said, this is our favorite record we've made to date.
Bara, how do you feel about that?
I feel like, I don't know if it's the most democratic record necessarily, because it just depended on what battle you were talking about. We had like a trillion battles over this record, and sometimes it wasn't very democratic. It just, I feel like at the end of the day, it really didn't matter who brought what. It was just a matter of like what was the strongest. What was going to be the like the strongest outcome. And sometimes I would be on the side where I just didn't see that. Like I was totally against something, and then at the end of like that process, I was like, yo, this is amazing. This is fire. Like let's go. Like bowing down. Like yo, I get it. I understand. I grew from that. So there was a lot of that going on. And we also literally had a therapist. Like, we have a therapist. We haven't met with her for a while, but we've had a few sessions, and honestly that helped a lot. Like just hearing, what she had to offer. She's a very great person. I learned a lot just from like just sitting down and just learning from her, as she's breaking down like the essence of human communication. Like, okay, what you
Wait,
guys have is a communication problem.
y'all are
You
going
know what I'm
to a
saying?
group as a band?
We went as a band. We've gone.
She's not officially a therapist. She's like a group. She helps mediate like a group coach, And so, yeah, we found it very helpful. It was a way to break through, impasses that some of us had. I mean, we're a 4-piece, so maybe 2 against 2, and then you get stuck at a fork in the road. She was helping us understand, things that were petty at the end of the day, and it was your own insecurities and ego that might have been like putting up a wall of creating a bridge to cross with each other. And that's just how life is, And like I said, this is like a 4-way marriage. Marriages are hard. Imagine being in a relationship with 3 other people, that's hard too. So you need some help every now and then to figure things out. And it was very helpful. And we don't feel like, maybe people might think, oh, that's taboo. It's no, it shouldn't be taboo. It should be, it's a healthy way to grow and develop as a person, to get that kind of professional feedback and learn how to navigate these tough moments that you have in life.
I learned a lot from everybody. Like literally, like, we were told to bring a list of write a list of words that we relate to, whether that's courage or whether it's humility or whether it's all these things, and also give literally tell our life story to each other. Since you're a kid, so I heard Carlos's life story, Eduardo's life story, Gabriel's life story, and it's just like, wow, everything has a history to it in human, regular, everybody we know has a perspective, and everything that they do is instructed by their life history, and that's like a very deep thing. It made me learn a lot about myself, just saying my story. I never said my story to anybody like that, literally just telling it out, and from a sequence from okay, age 5 on to whatever point. And it was very good for me. And I think, at the end of the day, look, you mentioned something about really feeling, or or the shame of having a therapist. Man, there's no shame in that. And honestly, the world needs therapy. The world needs therapy. Talking about these issues, whether it's race or class or gentrification, we need a therapist, we need to examine and to communicate.
I mean, and all of us, all 3 of us, I think we come from communities that don't tend to ask for help, particularly men when something's wrong.
Yes.
And so, I think that's really interesting that y'all made that step.
Yeah, definitely. It was really good for us, man. We felt the growth within each other, and we're still, we still got to go through it. We there's so many unsaid things, we all have our pride. Our pride is a big bastion that holds us back from a lot of things. It really is.
Yeah. I want to get to one thing that we were chatting about before we jumped on live, actually. Who's got the album? I know one of y'all got the vinyl there sitting there somewhere. Tell me about the album artwork. Oh, y'all both?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Carlos, go.
So this is the record. So a lot of people think that this is a painting, and it's not. It's a photo from a South Korean artist named Rala Choi. And Rala Choi is just this amazing photographer that I found just perusing through Pinterest late at night when we were looking for an artist to work with. You know, we were given the task, hey, we got to find an artist. Everybody went home and started doing their own research. I found this guy, brought it to the band, and everybody liked his style, but it didn't seem like it was really touchable considering he lived in South Korea and didn't speak English.
Yeah.
So it was kind of put on like kind of like a maybe, you know, maybe we should look for someone that lives locally. But me and
Yeah.
Bardo were, you know, very persistent. I hit him up. Our management hit up his management, and there was like crickets for like 3 weeks. So I just went to good old Instagram, DM'd him, and I Google translated it in Korean, and he wrote me back, and he was like,
Whoa.
I'll check out your music. Thank you for reaching out to me. And then he hit me back like a day later. He's like, I love your music. This is amazing. And I sent him the record, and he did a very thoughtful, creative art direction for the record. If you get the record, there's like gatefold and all this stuff happening, and it's all meaningful and, like I said, subjective, and how he interpreted it based off the title of the record. And he understands the I don't want to quote unquote plight, the plight of being Latino in the U.S., especially during this time. And so there's overtones of that in how he interpreted the record and developed the artwork. And yeah, I mean, his style is just amazing, and we were just so blessed to make it happen. Like I said, a couple weeks after we touched base with him, he was here in LA. We were shooting it on a soundstage, and he had the sets designed to his specification. And
Wow.
who was doing like a video like next door? Was it like Gucci Mane? I forget who. I think Gucci Mane. We were like on a hip hop soundstage in South Central. That like all our heroes like make music videos that like Kendrick, you know, Anderson, all these amazing artists that we just, you know,
Yeah.
give mad love and respect to. And our manager walked into like the wrong soundstage. He was like, I just walked into a room full of like naked women, like and like you know, they were like, what are you doing here? And anyways, so that was happening on soundstage A, and we were on soundstage B making this art piece. And yeah, we just want to give love to Rala Choi. He's amazing. Please check out his work.
That's dope. Wait, you said something fascinating to me. You said he gets what Latinos that situation in LA. Please expand on that, because that's an interesting statement. As somebody far, you know,
He
in
did
another
his
country.
Yeah, I guess he did his research, or I guess it just shows you like how far, like, you know, the news cycle gets to South Korea, where they're finding out, oh, Latinos are getting caged up at the border in El Paso. You know, um, Latinos are the scapegoat for everything the Trump administration, you know, dislikes about immigrants, etc. He knew that, and I was surprised. I mean, we didn't have to delve into it. He explained it like in his outline. Like, I understand. Like, I've read about what is going on with Latinos in the U.S., and you know, I'm developing this art, you know, taking that into consideration. So, I mean, people ask me, what does the cover mean? It means certain things for me, but like I said, we chose it because it felt very subjective, and it meant something to him, and it could mean whatever you want it to mean. You know, that's the kind of art we were hoping to achieve with this.
Damn, man, that is the last answer I expected. But I like it a lot. Oh, but yo, I know we're running way over. I think this is the longest one we've done so far. But I got one more I want to get in before we get off. Once again, this is Receiver. You're on with Chicano Batman. I'm Dexter, but y'all ain't here to talk to me. So I want to throw one last thing at you. We've been talking about, you know, the communities you come from. You know what I mean? That as you said, that you feel a responsibility to represent. So what I would throw to you is, you know, the album's done, album's out in the world. What are you hoping that this album does for your listeners? I'll throw that to Bardo.
I mean, honestly, I'm just hoping the track just makes you like move.
Mm,
Like, I'm just hoping like you play that in your car, and then you just rock with it, and you're just having a good time, you know. You just, you know, with your friends or your family, and it just makes you turn up, or just, you know, it's just one of those tunes that you're just that's it, man. I'm honestly like that's what I'm looking for when I'm on Spotify or something. I just want to bump a track that's super danceable, that's like funky and fun, that just makes me really just make just get that stank face on. Really, that's for me. That's what it's all about. No matter where you are, no matter where you come from.
Carlos, how you feeling, man?
I feel good. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we basically took our aesthetic that we know and are good at, and just try to mix it with some universal rhythms and elements that, for a reason, work. And they work for a reason, and we're hoping that opens doors, for us and our community, and just to get more people hip to what's going on over here.
All right.
I just want to say, also want to say the community. You say your community, responsible for your community. My
Yeah.
community is everybody, bro. There's layers to it. Like the neighborhood my house, my family, that's my community. My extended family, the city, and then the nation and the world. Like one love, baby. We're all one.
I love it. It's in the lyrics. Listen to Invisible People. It's in there. It's in there.
That's right.
It's in the track. Last one. I gotta ask this because I had this on the mind. All right. So let's say a new Batman movie is coming out, and they say, "All right, Chicano Batman, we need to have you do a track for the theme song. Which track off of this album is a theme song for the new Batman movie?" Carlos, you go first. You got to pick one.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think what the song. Blank Slate.
Blank Slate. Bardo, how about you?
I would pick Polymetronomic Harmony.
Ooh, why is that?
I just feel like it's just like a fast BPM. It's one of those things. It just suits an action scene.
Okay, so that's the scene where Batman's beating everybody up,
or whatever, or like gliding over the city, like.
All right, I think that's what we're gonna ride out on. All right, yo, thank you so much.
Polymetronomic.
Chicano Batman.
Yo, thanks, Dexter.
Thanks again, y'all.
Yes. Peace.